Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
A bad start to the holiday weekend for many today as planes are grounded for hours. The story coming up.
The Minister of Social Services supports her party's plan to provide free electricity. That story is coming up tonight, straight ahead.
Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis is not ruling out a debate before the next general election. That story straight ahead.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, flight services at Lynden Pindling International Airport were severely impacted today after several air traffic controllers called in sick, causing flight delays and inconveniencing travelers at the start of the busy holiday weekend. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Usually on long holiday weekends like this one, people like to get off the island and just live a little. However, for many travelers today, their holiday got off to a bad start after they found themselves waiting in the airport for hours.
I was surprised to know that they were delayed and for such a long period of time.
For Sheikha King, the Easter holiday weekend wasn't supposed to start like this. Her plans for a busy Thursday thrown off as her flight from Freeport was delayed for hours. It was just one of several flights that were delayed or left waiting to take off on the tarmac at Lynden Pindling International Airport after several air traffic controllers called in sick.
I still was a little distraught by it because it threw me off course of what I had scheduled to do.
Other frustrated passengers say they missed connecting flights as a result of the flight delays. President of the Bahamas Air Traffic Controllers Union, Hinsey McKenzie, tells our news that 15 to 18 air traffic controllers normally work the morning shift, which begins at 7 a.m. and ends at 2 p.m. However, 11 of them called in sick. When asked if controllers were engaged in a sick-out and if they had any concerns, Hinsey insisted he could not comment further until he has additional information. There's action by the air traffic controllers leaving many stranded, like this woman who waited for hours.
My flight was supposed to be at noon and we just got in maybe about 20 minutes ago. And then of course you have to wait on your bags and everything. They weren't telling you anything when you were at the airport. So you were just there waiting. And you had to keep getting up, asking the agent what's going on. And she didn't know because Nassau wasn't answering her. So it kind of put you at a disadvantage.
Honestly, I really need to get home because I haven't been home like in 5 years.
Where is home?
Andros.
Andros.
Yes, trying to get out.
And the one time you're trying to get home, you can't?
Yes. Most of all the time I wanted to go. I mean, I could have gone. I didn't. Now this time I really need to go and I can't go.
Meanwhile, Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Nassau Airport Development Company, Jan Knoll, says while there have been some delays at the airport, this is a very busy travel period and delays are not unusual for most airports. Over at General Aviation, charters upset passengers waited as patiently as they could for their chartered flights to the Family Islands, unable to move as well.
Terrible.
How long have you been waiting up here?
Over an hour. And I met a lot of people out there and they ain't gone yet.
Where are you trying to go?
Understand.
What have they been telling you?
Because of the tower, they ain't giving them no clearance to leave.
And so you have any idea as to when you're going to leave today?
Hopefully soon.
But for some passengers like this Andros woman, what's a 4-hour wait?
Paying me up for 1 o'clock is enjoy being here, man, because you got to go home and you got to go home. You got to do what you got to do. In spite of what you do, you got to do what you got to do. Learn to wait.
It's almost 5 o'clock. That's 4 hours.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. So you got to go home. So you go home, you're going to wait right here until you're ready to go home.
It's not the first time operations at LPIA have been impacted. Back in September, the airport experienced several flight delays and cancellations following industrial action taken by air traffic controllers in protest of certain security measures imposed on them. Calls placed to Transport and Aviation Minister Gladys Hannah Martin were not answered up to news time. Reporting for our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Meanwhile, in making its case for re-election, the Progressive Liberal Party has outlined its priorities for the next 5 years, including expanding opportunities, empowering Bahamians, protecting citizens, strengthening citizen participation and governance, and preserving what makes the Bahamas special. The party has released its action plan, which includes a promise to make electricity free for certain groups of Bahamians. Giorgio Bain has that story.
The Minister of Social Services says her party has already slashed the prices of electricity by nearly half, so the promise of free electricity should not be so hard to believe. In its action plan, the party said, "We will introduce policies under which the government will cover the cost of electricity to residential customers who limit their monthly use to below specified limits. This means the use of electricity will be free to those customers. Using current data, we anticipate this will affect 15 to 20% of the lowest income households."
If that is the case, then certainly it would impact everybody in the country, because we know over the years the cost of electricity has been high, and it's really impacted persons directly in their pocket. But the government has moved over the course of the last 5 years and have reduced the cost of electricity tremendously.
While the party did not explain how a PLP government would accomplish this objective, Griffin said discussions are underway to bring the idea to reality.
The discussions are ongoing with regard to how we will reduce the cost of electricity, and so I would not wish to comment on that at this time, but I believe that whatever can be done with regard to lowering the cost of electricity, we have done it. We've seen tremendous reduction, and as we move forward, we intend to continue the work to work hard to ensure affordable energy to our people.
The party said introducing free electricity will encourage the disciplined use of electricity and have a positive impact on energy conservation. The Social Services Minister says this will also go a long way in helping those Bahamians who depend on her ministry.
Parents also have to have certain medications for their children with disabilities. Persons with disabilities themselves have to have certain medications, and that would require, of course, ongoing refrigeration and the presence of electricity. So however we can work to make it affordable for them.
For a more detailed look at this campaign promise and more, visit myplp.org. Reporting for our news, I'm Georgia Bain.
Well, Bahamas Power and Light said in a statement this afternoon that reports of free electricity are unknown to BPL, nor was it provided by the company. The statement continues, "Our goal at BPL is to provide consistent, reliable, and affordable electricity service to our customers while maintaining a viable operation. We would like to thank our customers for their continued patronage, and we are most appreciative of your support as we execute our mandate and policies that are in the best interests of the people of the Bahamas." And if re-elected, the Progressive Liberal Party also promised to implement a rent-to-own program within the Department of Housing for those Bahamians who cannot afford a traditional down payment on a home. However, an F&M candidate and former chairman of the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation says it sounds a lot like the rent-to-own plan recently announced by F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis. Fonique 2 reports.
Great challenges will lie ahead.
In its action plan released on the Progressive Liberal Party website, the party proposes to utilize tracts of land on New Providence that were designated for agriculture and transfer them to housing. Land on Milo Butler Highway and Cowpen Road were listed as examples. The Department of Housing would then construct the homes and qualify applicants, beginning with civil servants. The Bahamas Mortgage Corporation would facilitate collection of the money. Former chairman of the Mortgage Corporation and F&M candidate for Elizabeth, Dr. Dwayne Sands, says this plan sounds quite similar to a campaign promise in the F&M's manifesto.
You know, if we were in college, this would be called plagiarism, because certainly I need to look and word check this, fact check it, and see the consistency of the punctuation and the language with the F&M manifesto. So a rent-to-own program, which is a part of our housing plan, is absolutely a reasonable approach in order to try and get affordable housing for individuals who are not able to come up with a down payment. How you structure it is the big question.
Earlier this month, FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis said at a rally that an FNM administration would establish a rent-to-own housing program. However, he did not explain how it would work. Meantime, the PLP said on its website that its rent-to-own program was announced earlier during this current term in office. The party said the price point of rent-to-own homes would be lower using new housing models and building methods. However, Sands says he's not impressed.
The public would be a little bit concerned about another housing or mortgage-based promise coming from the PLP, given the fact that mortgage relief was an absolute failure. And so, when we talk about a grain of salt, most people would take this with a chunk of salt. Matter of fact, the whole ocean, because the last 5 years has been all about broken promises.
The former senator questioned why voters should be moved by the PLP's plan for a rent-to-own program, given what he called its dismal housing record over the past 5 years. Sands accused the governing party of pandering to desperate voters.
This is plain and simple PLP campaign promises. Free electricity for the poor people, free houses for the people. We can throw in a car, we can give you some groceries. It is all about pandering to a desperate electorate who are genuinely suffering as a result of the inaction of the most incompetent government in the history of a sovereign Bahamas.
Sands says for the PLP to make even more promises after 5 years of inaction is nothing short of disingenuous. Reporting for our News, I'm Vonique Tude.
While responding to a challenge extended by PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts to debate Prime Minister Perry Christie, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis says anything is possible. Minnis also lashed out at critics who claim he is not fit to lead the country and has failed to give specifics on many of his proposed plans. Jasmine Brown reports.
Dr. Minnis says while a debate is possible, the last person who would be running the show is the PLP chairman. The FNM leader's comments followed statements made by Roberts, who said this week that he would like to see a debate between Minnis and Christie.
Anything is possible, but Bradley Roberts does not speak for the FNM. He speaks for the PLP, and we don't listen to Bradley Roberts, so he can say whatever he wants.
When pressed on the issue, Minnis would only say this:
when we're ready, it can be done, and on our terms, not Bradley Roberts' term, all right? But we are focused now on moving Perry Christie in the PLP and Bradley Roberts, so we don't hear his voice ever again in this Bahamas. What Christie should be thinking about, he's talking about debate. He should go down in Centerville and debate those people and explain to them how he's mistreated them so long and abandoned them.
Minnis also responded to Roberts' criticisms of his leadership skills. On Tuesday, Roberts said people will draw the conclusion that Minnis is not prepared to be Prime Minister of the Bahamas after Minnis refused to take questions from the media at a press conference at FNM headquarters that day.
I have had leadership roles in many areas before. I've been President of Medical Association. I've been Minister of Health. My record speaks for itself. I've been head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. My record speaks for itself. I've been deputy chief within the hospital. My record speaks for itself. It's all there.
So basically, you don't have to prove yourself to.
They can review my records. It's all there, and they will see true governance when I and my team move in.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Still to come on our News, how the Festival Commission says Junkanoo Carnival benefited from the controversy surrounding its postponement. Stay with us.